With this strengthened sense of motivation, I can embark, together with my students, on the pursuit of the greater mastery of the English language. For my study of second language acquisition and even my analysis of my personal experiences learning Spanish, I can facilitate language learning through what I consider the 3 I's: input, instruction, and interaction. First, input. Input is anything we hear or read in the language, and it's vital to expose students to this in order to learn languages effectively. In class, I model the language, and if I notice that the listening dialogues are scarce or contrived from the textbooks, I try to record myself and incorporate authentic materials. I expose students to written language through graded readers, both in print and online, as a way to help them build new vocabulary through context, to help them expand the meanings of words they already know, to foster generalizations about grammatical constructions, and to build automaticity and reading fluency. There are some grammatical forms that can't be easily deduced from input, however, and therefore it's important to draw students' attention to forms and patterns through instruction and corrective feedback. I vary my teaching methodology based on the context. If, for example, I am teaching younger learners, I like to use kinesthetic activities and teach both vocabulary and grammar more implicitly. However, if I'm teaching older children or adults, I like to take advantage of their higher cognitive abilities and their knowledge of the first language. Equally important to helping the students notice features is providing students with corrective feedback. On the one hand, too much feedback can interrupt the flow of conversation and even inhibit students from trying to produce the language. I try to prioritize correcting those errors students produce that are highly frequent and commonly cause misunderstandings. If I know students know how to produce the right form, I might elicit self-correction by asking for clarification. I'm sorry, what was that? Or I might stress the error with greater intonation. He goed? If I predict the student cannot produce the right form on their own, and I feel like it's important to highlight as a teaching moment, then I might reformulate the student's statement or, in some cases, provide metalinguistic instruction. Input and instruction alone are not enough. For students to really acquire a language, they have to produce it. One way I endeavor to facilitate meaningful interaction is through the use of debates as a way to elicit students' opinions. Should children be able to play violent video games? Should the legal drinking age or driving age be increased? As part of the debates, I teach students sympathetic language. For example, from my perspective, or I understand your point, but I have to disagree. Debates promote opportunities to think critically, and instead of regurgitating linguistic forms and chunks, as students try to formulate and articulate their opinions and understand each other by negotiating for meaning, they're doing something meaningful with the language, and these are skills that they can easily transfer outside of the classroom. Exposure to input through listening and reading, as well as opportunities to produce the language through speaking and writing, play an active part in my classroom. Through input, instruction, and interaction, learners are actively engaged in the acquisitional process and learning a language more efficiently and effectively.